Hi, my name is Victoria McPhail, and I'm co-chair of Pollination Guelph. And today I want to talk to you about buying managed bees. You maybe had the idea of, oh, I want to get some honeybees for my backyard. That's a really neat idea. But first you need to ask yourself some questions. The first question is, why do you want bees? Maybe you heard about bees are in decline and you want to help the pollinator populations by getting your own bees. But in reality, depending on what bees you get, you could actually be causing more harm than good. Honeybees, for instance, are a non-native animal. They're basically domesticated livestock species now. We initially brought them over for honey production, and now we're using them a lot for crop pollination. But they don't actually, quote-unquote, belong here. They didn't evolve in our ecosystem. So they're not actually needed for crop pollination, at least on normal small scales, and they are not needed for natural pollination services. As well, honeybees can have a lot of diseases, and they can be spread to our wild bees, and even flies. So we're going to be careful as to why you're helping them. We sometimes compare it to keeping chickens. Chickens are a domesticated animal. You may want to keep them for their eggs, which is great, but they aren't going to help you save the endangered songbirds by keeping backyard chickens. So it's the same idea with honeybees. Perhaps you are wanting to keep backyard chickens or honeybees for their honey. Again, fresh honey from the hive tastes really good, but you may want to consider just going to your local farmer's market instead. There you can help support the local economy, support local farmers, and also benefit from their experience. They're taking care of the bees, they know how to treat for diseases, so that the honey you get is safe and they're having less of an impact on their environment. Other bees, like managed bumblebees, have similar concerns. Although species might be native to North America or even to your region, they may not actually be native to the region that you're in. For instance, we have common eastern bumblebees, they're being shipped to the west coast where they are not native. And they can also spread diseases to our wild bees. So you're better off trying to avoid getting these managed bees if their goal is to try to help our pollinator populations. But if you are set on getting your bees, I still have a few more questions to ask. The first is what type? Now you may know a honeybee from a bumblebee, but there are different types of bees like leafcutter bees and mason bees, and even within those groups of bees there are different species. So you want to make sure the species you get is local to your area and actually comes from your area. So you may see a sign in the stores like, hey, mason bees. If you look closely, they're actually being shipped in from, say, Western Canada or from the States. So you want to make sure that the species you are getting are local to your area and have the right genotypes, because then we don't want to have non-native species coming in or sort of confusing our genetics. We also want to make sure they're disease-free. So ask the people who are rearing these bees, where are the bees coming from? Were they taking good practices such as disinfecting the rearing equipment? Were they sustainably collected? Did they take all the baby bees from one area, leaving no native bees behind for their area? So we want to make sure that the bees are sustainably and healthy when you get them. So if you're still keen on getting bees, cool. But remember, they're a lot of work, especially like honeybees need to be checked every week for diseases and for other problems. You may want to look into getting a local beekeepers group to help you or get a mentor to help you really maintain the hives. Perhaps you want to apprentice for a season to learn actually how to take care of the bees, how to recognize diseases. But even if you love bees, and they are really cool, especially the social ones, to watch them come and go and rear their young, it's really cool, but you don't actually have to have the bees in your backyard in terms of nests in order to see them in your backyard. You can enjoy the bees coming and going to your flowers if you provide the habitat for them. So again, food from spring through to fall. So even right now in the springtime, there's very little out there. So you want to make sure the first sign of spring, there's something blooming in your garden, something blooming all the way through to the fall, into September, October. Asters and goldenrod are great for that, for instance. Also make sure you have nesting habitat for our native bees. Not all bees nest in colonies, so much nest in plant stems or underground. So if you visit our website, pollinationguelph.ca, you can find all sorts of resources about, again, how to buy managed bees, and more importantly, how to create habitat for our native bees, that we can really help support our native pollinators and help keep our native ecosystems alive and well.